It's been a few weeks since the new update that rewrote the ground rules for PvP, including adding more player health, reducing body shot damage, limiting special ammo, cutting back on ability usage, and reducing the overall amount of damage abilities do to enemy guardians. It's been a lot, and we've had to sort of settle into the new routine and retrain our brains to see numbers and engagements differently. And in this video, I want to talk about specifically Trials of Osiris now after the update. Ultimately, is it better or is it worse? Is it easier to go flawless? Is it harder? Is the new Sandbox a healthy landscape for Trials as a game mode? We're going to unpack all of that today, but first, couple short things to get out of the way. I know I sound terrible. Like, I have had fevers, chills, body aches, sore throat the last 2.5 days straight. It's not fun. I know I sound like crap, but I can't just stop making content. And I wanted to get this video out 2 days ago, but obviously I couldn't because of my condition. So bear with me on the quality of my voice, I do apologize. Also, if you've been to the channel before and you've enjoyed any of the content, then would you consider subscribing to the channel, as I'm getting super friggin' close to that 300,000 sub milestone. And that's absolutely incredible to me. And hopefully if I get there, my wife might, let me actually go on vacation with her and the kids finally, instead of leaving me at home. Thanks, y'all. All right, I'm gonna try and break this down in a logical progression of topics. And in the background, you're gonna see a mix of both PC and console trials from this weekend on Javelin 4. So hopefully you enjoy those plays. And I'm gonna timestamp the topics for you too, so you can, just drag the cursor to the topics that you're most interested in. I mean, I get it. I think I'm handsome as all heck, but I don't think that I'm very interesting, so I totally understand if you want to skip to certain sections of the video to avoid boredom, unless you're trying to take a nap, in which case you should hit the like button and then just close your eyes and let my videos play as you snooze. You win, I win, it's a good deal. Okay, so first things first, let me say what this video is not about. It's not about the current weapon meta. Metas come and go. We've had good ones, we've had bad ones, and people complain about the meta regardless of what it is. It's been SMGs and Peacekeepers, it's been Omnioculus, Invisible A-Holes, which is a Borderlands reference with the Lord of Wolves. It's been Cloud Strike, we've had Not Forgotten, we've had Igneous Hammer. I mean, we've been all over the place. And currently we do find ourselves in an auto rifle teamfire meta, but part of that is the map, honestly. I mean, that is just how Javelin 4 tends to play, the length of the duels that we're in. It's a lot of openings here and there with a lot of no man's land in between, and auto rifles are just really good in those spaces. But some auto rifles are about to get nerfed too, so we'll see how long this meta lasts before we're right back to, igneous and conditional again. Personally, I give it 2 weeks tops. But currently, auto rifles are responsible for 31% of all kills in Trials of Osiris. And honestly, I don't think people understand the gravity of that number. That's freaking insane. Hand cannons are at 14%, followed by shotguns at 13%, and that's basically the meta. Everything else is a huge step down from those. I mean, everyone said, oh, dad rifle pulses will be meta with, camping teamfire. And then pulse rifles still only account for 7% of all kills. It didn't happen, y'all. But all this to say, metas come and go. This one came, and one day soon it will go. That's just the nature of it. But there is something a little bit different that I do want to talk about, and that's subclass usage. More specifically, super ability choices. This was, still is, and will continue to be a major pain point for me in Trials of Osiris. Let me break that down. Now, right out of the gate, I do want to say that overall, I'm digging Trials of Osiris right now. Since the changes, my personal Trials KD has gone up by 0.2 points, and that's nothing to sniff at. I'm enjoying it. I'm finding success, but there's one thing that continues to bother me, and that's the fact that if you are a Warlock or you are a Titan, and you are not running Well of Radiance or Titan Bubble in Trials, then you are actively being a detriment to your team. Bungie is so super committed to this Dominion idea that they are willing to stomach the fact that Warlocks and Titans are forced into a specific subclass and super in Trials, and it kind of drives me nuts. Hunters are super versatile. I play a ton of Hunter in Trials because I find it to be the best subclass for 1v3 rounds. I am a Warlock main, but on the weekends lately, I'm a Hunter main, and that's why. But here's what's wild to me. Since chaining wells and bubbles can literally win you 2 to 3 free rounds in a row, it's the only choice for Warlocks and Titans, and the numbers reflect that. Warlocks overall are currently the least used subclass in Trials, but among Warlocks, 56% of them are all running Well of Radiance on the Solar Kit. The next best thing is Voidwalkers at 17%. Among 5 subclasses available, well over half of all Warlocks are running Well. Bungie has literally forced your hand if you're a Warlock. You have to play Well of Radiance, or you are a detriment to your team. There are obviously exceptions if you're a really good player at one of the other kits. But even then, you need to absolutely slay if you want to justify your subclass choice. Bungie has forced you into a corner too. In fact, it's even worse if you're a Titan. 59% of all Titans, nearly 2/3 of all Titans, are running Bubble. Part of that is how strong the Void Kit is in Trials, sure, with Overshield applying barricades and health back for free whenever you just simply kill somebody who shoots back. But mostly it's Bubble being a free round win that makes the choice for you. Warlocks and Titans are already at a disadvantage in Trials, in my opinion, simply for not being Hunters. And that's not me being elitist or anything. This is reflected by Hunter being the most played subclass by an absolute landslide, by the way. And I'm saying that as somebody who intentionally picks Hunter over my other classes for Trials, because objectively, I can recognize that it's simply better in elimination game modes. It is. It simply doesn't help that Bungie takes away your power of choice by forcing you into a corner with Dominion. So, returning to the topic of the video, is Trials better or worse? Well, this specific issue isn't necessarily better or worse, really. It simply continues to be a major pain point. And that's me being an optimist. If I'm being a realist, I would actually say that it's maybe a little bit worse now, because we have less special ammo to deal with wells and bubbles. If Bungie wants to allow for more creative license in Trials, then they're either going to need to get creative with Dominion, or they're going to need to change well and bubble to higher tiers so they take longer to cool down. Because realistically, there's no reality where a roaming Sentinel Shield Super is a better choice for a zone cap Trials mode than bubble, yet bubble cools down way faster. Same thing with well. I like that Dominion makes you move around the map. It forces engagements, it speeds up rounds, but I don't like how it pigeonholes Warlocks and Titans into supers they may not want to play. But I don't know what the solution is. I'm not a mastermind for balancing. I just know when I don't think something is working great. I want the benefits of Dominion without the drawbacks. I mean, is that really asking too much? That was sarcasm. So to wrap up this section, I think the pain points of Dominion actually got a little tiny bit more painful with the new update. But let's move on to the next part. How much does personal skill matter? This is the good news. I'm going to be honest, with so much less cheesy ability spam in play, I feel like I can, as a competent player, perform better overall in Trials. I am almost exclusively a solo player, and I get some questionable teammates, it's true, but in the current landscape, I feel like even with less special, I have a much better chance of locking down a 1v3 because my aim is rewarded more than it used to be. It's that simple. I'm not getting bombarded with 3 different grenades at the same time for an easy round win for the other team. They actually have to engage me, and no, I'm not winning all of my 1v3s, but I'm sure as heck winning a lot more of them. There are a lot of them in this gameplay, in this video. But game sense and accuracy just became so much more useful with this update, and I'm absolutely reaping the benefits of that. But right now, I have the highest Trials KD I've had since Season 15, y'all. And I do love that. That was Season of the Lost back in August of 21. That's wild. But comparatively, I have more kills in the current season of Destiny and Trials than I did in all of Season 15, even though I've played a couple hundred fewer matches. In short, things are going much better for me in Trials right now as a solo player than ever before. I'm definitely vibing with that, especially since I'm not using Well or Bubble. I'm mostly using Voidwalker, Solar Hunter, and Solar Titan. And that's simply because my gun skill and positioning and game sense are being rewarded more now than they were before, and I really love that. Next, let's chat about this so-called Teamfire meta. I've seen a lot of complaints about this lately, a lot of folks complaining that we're returning to Destiny 2 Year 1 Teamfire meta. And I certainly see both sides here. As a predominantly solo player, trust me, I get annoyed when the other team is standing shoulder to shoulder and team firing every angle. But the only way that works is if you and your team aren't coordinating properly. Trials is a 3v3 game type. It's not a 1v1, v1v1, v1v1. If you want to get team fired less, then team fire more in return. One of the most valuable skills in Trials of Osiris, even as a solo player, is to know how to cover each other's angles as a team. If your teammates are standing at one choke point looking out, you should go to another angle and cover their blind spots. Make sure your lines of sight are converging at where the enemy is positioned so you can catch them in a crossfire when they can't realistically return fire on all threats, nor can they place one grenade to crowd control and wipe all of you out because you're not huddled at the same spot. I mean, this is basic team shooter stuff right here, and so many gamers are kind of oblivious to it. If teamfire is a regular complaint of yours, it's likely a hallmark case of you not being a good team player. Now, sometimes, yes, your teammates are oblivious. I mean, that happens, and they don't cover angles. But if you're always outnumbered, then you're probably doing something wrong. It's a 3v3 game type, and you can even play around bad teammates if you know how. It may not guarantee a win, but it'll be your best shot at success. For me personally, the teamfire complaints don't hold a lot of weight. All in all, I think the new Sandbox actually makes solo hero moments even more accessible due to the reward for hitting good shots. Okay, let's move on to maps. We had a pain point, 2 good points, and now on to the 4th topic of conversation, the map rotation. It's getting stale. I mean, there's no way around it. It's getting stale as all heck. I mean, 1 out of every 3 Trials weekends are on Jab 4 these days, and that's a Destiny 2 beta map. A beta map. I mean, it's a great map. It's a banger map. But when the map came out, I had 1 kid and no vasectomies, and my oldest is now about to be in middle school, while I just attended my 3rd annual daddy-daughter dance with my youngest last week, and Manscaped ain't responsible for that scar south of the border. I know this is a bit of a moot point with 3 brand new 3v3 focused maps coming into the rotation soon, but we're still a month and a half away from that. The fact remains that we don't have a single map in the Trials rotation that was made with Trials of Osiris in mind. Not one. Some were made with 4v4 in mind, some were made with Trials of the 9 in mind, some were made with 6s in mind, but we've got nothing that was specifically made with Destiny 2 Trials of Osiris in mind. We've got Burning Shrine, which was designed for Destiny 1 Trials of Osiris, but that's about it. I mean, that's pretty friggin' bonkers to me. It should have never gone this long without having a new Trials map. It's crazy that Bungie thought it was an acceptable loss to ditch PvP maps entirely for years. Like any other PvP game you'd be raked through the coals for that by their communities. And while the new standard that Bungie laid down is encouraging moving forward, it's still extremely unsettling to me that they ever thought that it was acceptable, and it makes me nervous about what they might consider acceptable losses in the future too, especially with the rocky year game developers have had and with how many layoffs they've experienced and changes in leadership. I won't fully trust Bungie's PvP direction choices until we have probably literal years of good records behind us. As far as I'm concerned in the PvP department, they are still on rather thin ice, but I'm willing to be gracious for the time being. Now, the next thing on the docket for this video is the ability and special reduction changes as a whole. Have these changes been good for Trials specifically or bad for Trials? I think for me, overall, these changes have been a net positive. Let's start with special. By design, the special ammo changes force you to make a tough choice from the onset of the match. Are you going to run double primary so you have a weapon to cover all engagement ranges? Or are you going to run with one special weapon so you can really dominate one space as long as you have the ammo for it? This is a great way to make the player make hard choices about their loadouts. Changing mid-game isn't all that useful anymore either, unless you're starting with special and then immediately switching off of it after round 1. Overall, I like these changes. It's leading to more primary weapon diversity for sure. Overall, I like these changes, but here are a couple of negative observations. Since having all ranges covered at once is less common, a lot of people are choosing to roll with primaries that are jacks of all trades, weapons that cover mid and long range just fine. Basically, that means auto rifles. That's one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that auto rifles are so popular right now. Let me hit you with another wild stat. It used to be that there were 4 sniper kills in Trials of Osiris for every auto rifle kill. Today, there are 4.5 sniper kills for every 100 auto rifle kills. Like, think about that for a second. It used to be snipers over autos in a 4-to-1 ratio. Today, there are 100 auto rifle kills for every 4.5 sniper kills. Like, holy friggin' crap, you all, snipers are dead. And before you go and blame ammo changes, just note that shotguns are still the 3rd most deadly weapon type in Trials right now with 13% of all kills. Snipers are down in 9th place with a whopping 1% of all kills. That's insanity. Snipers are dead in Trials. There's no way around it. They are KIA. And you may love that. Personally, I do not. Snipers got hit hard. Shotguns have a low barrier to entry. Get close, pull the trigger, get a kill. Snipers had their ammo and their aim assist nerfed, while recent changes in the last few years have already reduced their aim assist multiple times and reduced their body shot damage multiple times. It's like, Bungie, stop, they're already dead. So while I'm enjoying the primary weapon focus, it's also very clear that sniper rifles are no longer going to have a strong presence at all in Trials of Osiris moving forward. Some people will love that, but for me and my money, I prefer it when shotguns and snipers are more evenly split than they currently are. Right now, shotguns are responsible for 13 kills for every 1 sniper kill. Imagine you load it into a 7v7 control match, and you were the only person using a sniper rifle, the other 13 were all using shotguns, you'd feel that difference pretty quick. So the drop off in sniper usage is partly due to the ammo and the aim assist nerfs to snipers, but also partially due to the fact that auto rifles with deep range are meta right now, meaning people don't really need a sniper. They're better off having a shotgun in their back pocket for when they get pushed up close. Now for the ability nerfs. Honestly, it's weird to me because on the one hand, I don't feel like the small 15% nerf to ability cooldowns is all that noticeable to me as a player. I feel like I've got all of my abilities when I need them still, but at the same time, I notice that I'm having to deal with far less ability spam, so it's kind of weird, but a good weird. The abilities are doing less damage to my overall health, which is a nice change too, so I have a shot at turning a fight around in my favor when I get tagged first by an ability of some kind. I do appreciate that as well. Now, the last thing we need to talk about today is team composition. Solos, duos, trios. How are we looking? Well, as far as I can tell, not a whole lot has changed here, either for better or worse. We still have solos and duos in the same pool, while trios only match with other trios outside of extreme instances. Solos and duos love this system for the most part, while trios do not love it. Mainly because the trios playlist is pretty heckin' sweaty. Full teams tend to, take matches more seriously. They think about their team composition. They do things like 2 bubbles in a barrage, stuff like that. They share overshields on corners. A lot of times they take loadouts into consideration too. They'll have a couple of people running, spear point to push in while the third sits back and locks down lanes with a bow or a scout for big chunk damage, creating opportunities for teammates. I haven't done a lot of trios, but I've done some since the update, and both sessions we just got matched against the same teams repeatedly. It might have just been the time that we were queuing though, but I'm almost exclusively a solo player, so I usually enjoy my video games by myself. So personally, I really like the current system because it benefits me and other solo players. But I also fully recognize how hard that makes it for teams that like to play together, and I sympathize with them having such a small player pool to pull from. And I don't want to just be the guy who's like, well, your problem isn't my problem, so there's nothing to fix. I do hope that Bungie can get creative and find new ways to keep the Trios playlist engaging for people. I think more drops is a great start though, and it's admittedly the best place to farm adept roles now. So let's bring this whole thing back home and wrap it up. With the new changes to special ammo, the risk and reward dynamic of double primary, the reduction of ability uptime and overall damage, all means that primary weapon kills are up, the ability to win a 1v3 is more likely, the number of ability assisted kills is down, and the player population isn't suffering from the changes just yet. The map rotation continues to be mediocre at best, but new maps are just around the corner. Trios are still a bit of a pain point, and I would love to see old weapons like the Inquisitor and Aisha back in the rotation as well. Sniper rifles are dead in the water, along with fusions, trace rifles, and glaives. If we could find a way to make sure shotguns aren't the only logical choice, that would be great. And finally, class balance continues to be a big issue due to the nature of Dominion, along with the fact that Solar Warlock and Void Titan have great neutral kits too. So it ain't perfect, but overall, I feel like we've made some positive changes in the Trials arena, and I'll take forward progress over going nowhere or going backwards anytime. Thanks so much for watching the video today. I genuinely appreciate your support. If you enjoyed the discussion, then let me know by leaving a like on the video, and leave a comment listing anything I may have missed. And I know this was a long video, so leave a comment letting me know if you made it to the end, and I'll be sure to drop a heart on it because that's literally the absolute least I can do. Be warm and well fed, my friends. I'm gonna go lay back down on the couch.